Hi, it's Lil from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. Today I am going to be showing you how to use Made by Marley decoupage paper, how to paint the transition, and how to work over the transition with stencils and stamps to make something like this, an Indian piece of art. Stay tuned. Okay, so today's piece of furniture is going to have decoupage paper applied. If you are new to our channel, and I don't very often do this hard sell kind of thing, but we have our own decoupage paper, our own company, and it's called Made by Marley Magic. That when you buy our decoupage paper, it comes like this. This is the new packaging. It contains 3 sheets. I'm not using this one today, but I'll show you. It contains 3 sheets of paper. This one's called Big Moth. The back of this card explains what to do with the decoupage paper. So, Made by Marley Magic. I'm going to be showing you how to use a decoupage paper if you've never seen our decoupage paper before anyway. This is what Big Moth looks like. It has one with the big moth and 2 sheets with the smaller ones. Yeah. So this is how your decoupage paper will come packaged to you. And I'm going to show you exactly how easy it is to use. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit more robust, and it's not tissue paper. You can't see through it, which means that you don't have to paint your furniture white. You can apply it straight onto your furniture and then blend up to your edges, or if it's drawer fronts, things like that, just apply it, sand around their edges and it's job done. There's lots of videos that I have where I just blend it, and then to bridge the transition, I like to put like stamps or stencils. I've got so many of those. So if you're new to our channel and you haven't seen those yet and you didn't know about Made by Marley Magic, you can, I'll get Martin to leave in the description box a link to our Made by Marley Magic decoupage group. It's for a decoupage group for when you're using our paper, and you can show and tell people and kind of like get that kind of buzz going on what your work is. And Martin was saying it's a really friendly group. It is a lovely group. It is so nice. It's really warm and fuzzy in that group. I'm going to be running another large competition where you can enter your own furniture. But at the moment, I'm laughing already. Jenny from Mum's Shed made me a hat. I'm going to show you it. It's a bit tight. Yeah, we're running a Willy Wonka style competition. Jenny, my head is very big. Anyway, she made me this beautiful hat, and she made it from scratch. Isn't it amazing? So we're running a competition, and in our decoupage paper, the 3 sheets that you've just seen, you can, if you find one of these golden tickets, and there will be 5, just like in Willy Wonka, 5 chances to win. This competition will run until all 5 tickets are found. So it could take 2 years, it could take 3 months. Who knows how long it's going to take. So this is what the golden ticket looks like. It will be in your decoupage paper. If you get a golden ticket, email Made by Marley, sales at Made by Marley, and the lovely Martin will tell you what to do next. But basically, if you win one of these tickets, I will design you your own personal set of decoupage paper. 3 pages. You can have 2 the same and 1 accent, or you can have them all uniquely different to you with your colours, your styles, whatever you want. I will work with you to design your own decoupage paper. So this is a really amazing, this is just a kind of giving back and a bit of fun, the golden ticket. However, there are other furniture competitions in the Made by Marley group. If you buy Made by Marley decoupage paper and you're not sure what to do with it, just come back to our channel and have a look. I don't think it's fair if you own a business to continually, every day, keep going on about it. I think that knowing that people know what I do and showing them is enough. This is like more of a hard sell than I've probably never ever done this. But we do have decoupage paper. It is beautiful. There's a whole range. There's Christmas. I think there's even some spring ones in there.
Global stockists, and there'll be a link at the end of the video to where they all are.
Martin, do you know what I'm going to do after this? I'm going to mic Martin up because Martin's desperate to tell you things and you can't hear him. So he's saying, "Tell me again, darling." There's global. Yeah, we have stockists. They're global, and so we have them all over the place. And Martin, I'll put the link in the description box. Martin, is that what you're saying?
And there'll be information at the end of the video.
And there'll be information at the end of the video. I'm just like, where you can buy it. You need a prompt card, Martin, so that you can go like that. So I'll say the right thing. But yeah, I'm going to actually, I think today, mic Martin up because it'll be funny because you can actually hear what he's saying instead of me having to repeat it or me going like this to him because so you can hear all these sassy, cheeky comments that he gives me all the time, a running commentary. Yeah, so this is about, today's video is about our decoupage paper, but it's not about our decoupage paper, I'm using decoupage paper. So I'm going to get on now. Now I've done all my president business stuff. I feel very important. Not really. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with today. Isn't it grand? But it hasn't got a few things. It's got no doors for a start off. They were broken. So I have some holes to fill in here where there was a latch. I just thought I could turn it into a bookcase instead. There's no reason why I can't do that. So what has it got? It's got 4 drawers. I think for those who are beginners for decoupage, our decoupage group, instead of a whole lot of complicated showing you, because I'm going to be, doing other things, I think what I'll do is I'll decoupage the sides of these drawers just so you can see, because you've got to start somewhere. So somewhere simple is probably the best way to go. Yeah, this is it. It's a big, well, it's now going to be a bookcase. I'm going to turn it into it, and it will not surprise you to know, because today I'm just having a little bit of fun. Today I'm going to turn this into, I think, an Indian-inspired bookcase. Oh, like you haven't heard one of those before, but it'll be a unique one. And what paper I'm going to be using? I am going to be using Boogie Nights. I won't be using the pattern sheet of Boogie Nights. I'm just going to be using this one of Boogie Nights. And basically, I have mixed up a paint. It's a sort of mustard. This is more of a chartreuse green. I have mixed up this sort of mustardy colour. That's going to be on the outside and the inside and just about everywhere else. And there's going to be a whole load of different colour. And I mean, I'm not promising this, but maybe some gold leaf, because why not? Okay, right, so crack on. I'm gonna, first of all, I'm going to set up to apply the decoupage paper. It's going to go like this. I'm going to apply the decoupage paper to the back, and then I'm going to paint the outside while the inside is drying, and then I'll kind of dry off the bottom half so that I can lean over and start working on the inside. Okay, so what I'm starting with is the sheet. Now, with Made by Marley Decoupage paper, so that you can blend the edge, it is much, when you have an edge like this, and you try and put paint up against it, it is going to, no matter what, you're going to end up with this straight line. If you rip it, you're going to end up with a line that you can blend against and you can make it disappear. So ripping it is good. So I wanted to do that on the long sides. Now, paper's cut on a, Martin, we haven't mic'd you up, Martin, but you probably know more about it. It's cut different ways, isn't it? Yes. It's cut on a different, so it's like wood grain. Where the fibres of the wood go. Where the fibres of the well, he's talking about wood, but he knows about the paper. But when you can rip the long sides really simply, because that's obviously the way that the grain goes. But when you come to do the long sides, it's much different. You're going against the grain, man. I'm going to mic you up. Anyway, I still don't want to cut this with scissors. I don't want to do that. So what, if you can see this paper, can you see what I can see? Can you see certain like lengths, a length and a length? I'll show you. So I am folding it, and you know that way, that kind of old school, when you haven't got scissors and you're in a rush, you kind of do that with your nails and put it back the other way, because this is good because it gets the kind of fibres going when we go to blend against it. And then just kind of start your paper off and just do this. Doesn't matter if it's straight or if it's extra specially ripped. Don't like that. I'm not bothered about. I'm going to have to do this edge in a minute. But I've already done that with one sheet here. See, I've cut it into my strips like so. And I'm going to be applying these onto these strips. Now, I know for a fact, hang on a minute, Martin, you just, there we are. I'm going to take them on just so you've got an idea of what my sort of idea is. So I'm thinking, I'm applying it to this side. I don't want it all to look too contrived. So I'm going to kind of go, I'm going to need to put 2 sheets as well because I want the design to go all the way down. So, so say this is 1 sheet. And this thin one, let's put this one central. Put that at this edge. And this florally one we'll put here. Oh. Now, for those that are new to my channel, you really need to stick with the process. You have to trust it. I just need to rip. Imagine this end here isn't here. Let me just. Just the paper end. I'm just folding it in so it's not seen just now, Martin. Just doing a quick fix. It's just to show. And this is going to come down here, like here. Yeah. So imagine this strip. I'm just going to put a piece of little part into here when it comes to when we go to glue them together. This is going to come down here. I am going to apply this in strips now. I'm a little bit uncertain to, because on one of them I might like 2 strips. So positioning this part, it's worth taking a little bit of time if you've got some surface that you're really wanting to do the back justice. I think maybe something like this on this one and this one here. Yeah, I think that's going to make me happier. So imagine that. Just stick on there and I'll just get that tape. There it is there, look. Right, this is the positioning of how the decoupage is going to go. You don't need to worry too much if it's straight. You don't really need to worry too much about it. But before I can proceed, I really need to get rid of this little white edge here. Now, to apply Made by Marley Decoupage paper, the best application for our paper, I've tried everything. It's too robust to use like a lacquer. You really need something that's gonna kind of stick it down and leave it down. I'm doing this at a terrible angle, and I'm sure, Martin, you can't even see what I'm doing here. I'm just getting this edge off here. Not very nicely, but as you can see, but I'm trying my best. I just want to get to the point where I can show something. Right, okay. Let's get to sticking these on. Now, at the beginning, you're going to think, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. Now, the art to sticking on decoupage paper is this. You will get wrinkles, A, if your furniture is bumpy and your surface is not smooth. You're bound to get wrinkles. But you'll also get wrinkles if you do not apply your glue to every part of your surface area. And if I stuck that on my paper on there right now, I'd have wrinkles because of the way I've applied my glue. You have to keep your strokes smooth. You have to cover all the surfaces, and it doesn't matter if you go over, because I know I've gone way over there. Oh, there's another piece of this white on this. Sorry about this. Do you know that way I thought this will be a really quick explanation, but I think you're gonna Martin. Now stop it, Martin. Now let's stick her this way. Now, doesn't have to be necessarily too straight. Now, this is the part where you really need to understand. You need to smooth it down, yeah, but you need to smooth it down, and then once you've smoothed it, just leave it alone. Stop it, Martin. Now, that is it. I'm not going to do any more to that, because in a minute with that, you will find that there's a couple of wrinkles. They'll just come up for a minute. They will go away again. There's no reason to do anything with it other than just leave it alone. I can see a part up there. There you go. So I'm going to do my strips on here, 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 all the way down. Yeah. And where I'm one short, I'm just going to cut from the next piece and just join it together like that. That's all I'm going to do. put my strips on and go work all the way down my furniture. Down the bottom part, I've done all the sort of stripy lines. Well, I'll get Martin to pan up to them in a minute. But down the bottom, I've ripped it. I'm putting the rip side to the bottom so that I can sand. If you can see this here, I'll sand that edge off so it's nice and smooth. And what I'm doing now is I'm just applying the ripped paper. And this is, again, another just a section. I haven't used so much so far because it's all just the strips. But it doesn't have to be particularly straight. Don't worry, because I'm going to be blending down to this edge. So I'm not too worried about that. But I'm more, you know, I don't want any wrinkles in it. So, and I'm just kind of pushing that part there that I'm going to sand off underneath it. And I'm just working my way along the front. And I'm doing the same on the sides so that this band runs right down the bottom. Yeah? So I'll get Martin to have a quick pan up to how this top part looks. I mean, okay, I understand. Trust your process. It's going to look uglier before it gets better. But we have to put our paper on first before we can start adding paint. So I'm just going to get on it and do this all the way around there. And the next thing after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these handles off of here and I'm going to decoupage the drawers. And I'll show you how, for those that have just started and want to do a simple project, I'll show you how to decoupage a drawer, because that's maybe something you want to start with. And this is the kind of beginning. The ripping up and everything and the blending towards it's like the kind of like, that's your kind of second part, and your third part is working on the transitions between your blended part, your paper, and what you're going to put in between that to work a transition. So there's the beginning of the beginning when you're starting to decoupage and you want to do something. There's the putting it on to drawers and getting your drawers smooth and sanded and lovely. Then obviously there's the ripping up and blending the paint towards them, getting that part done. And the third part of kind of like really creating good decoupage pieces of furniture is, what do you do with transition lines? What do you fill them with? Is it stamps? Is it stencils? Is there any? Do you need transition lines? Are you happy just with the paint? And we'll get to that. This whole video is all about those three things. 1, 2, 3. Simple, secondary, and then third, how do we make it sing? Okay, so with just, because I'm ripping it up in strips, I'm just ending up with lots of excess strips. So with these strips, I'm just going to be doing it onto my drawers. So it's just the same principle. So if you want to buy made by Marley decoupage paper and you are wondering how complicated or difficult it is, maybe you just want to do your drawers and paint the carcass of your furniture just because you're starting out and you're a bit nervous, well, this is how you do it. And it says this on the instruction card in the decoupage paper. Now, obviously, you will be putting one full sheet on this, or, you know, cut it to size. But because I've got strips, this is it. So all of it's covered. And I'm going to start here. And I'm going to apply this piece first. Now, obviously, it would be much easier if I was showing you with one piece, but I have to be complicated. Make sure that, see these edges here, because you want these properly stuck down like that. Just make sure, because we can sand those off when it's time. And I'll show you how easy it sands off. It sands off like butter. Now, can Made by Marley decoupage paper be distressed? Yes, it can. You can do it in two ways. You can gently sand it, or you can spritz it with water and slightly rub it away. You can do those. I've done those a couple of times. You can do that, but you can also, because it's a little bit more robust, I'm just going to do a little bit of glue just down this edge. You won't have to do that because you're putting it on in one big part. But yeah, going round edges and things, and you're thinking, how would I do something that's curved? Get your decoupage paper, spritz it with water on this side, let it soften a little bit, and you can just proceed as normal. It's not complicated decoupaging. Now, you're not going to have this join, I am, but I'm going to work on that when I go to put the drawers back together. And as you see, it doesn't need to have a perfect join because I'm going for that kind of look, but you'll have one proper sheet that fits it all in and goes onto it. Now again, work on your smoothing. Oop. Fold down your joints, because if you don't rub along there, this part here will not be stuck along these joints here. And I am just going to completely leave that alone now until it dries. What I'm doing now is I'm just base coating the external part of the bookcase. I'm just making sure that I'm not doing cross-hatch brush strokes. I'm just going up and down just now. There's going to be something else goes over the top of this. This is just the base coat. When I get to the decoupage paper, I'll come back and I'll show you what I do around about that. But for right now, I just want to get my base coat on my piece of furniture. I'll also be doing inside here and around the glass. I'm not taping off the glass. There's no need for that. I'll be scraping it off once I've done it. It doesn't, or Marty will be. Somebody will be. It might be Marty. But the thing is, there's no reason why you need to tape off glass. You get glass scrapers that take paint off glass that do not scratch glass, so there's no reason to be doing that. So, but I'm going to do the internals as well with this same colour. This was mixed from Annie Sloane's Tilton, a little bit of Hornflower, a little bit of Barcelona Orange, and a little bit of Emperor Silk, and a little bit of Furl. But the main body of this was Tilton, which is a yellow. Okay, right, so ignore how ugly this looks right now. Of course it's the base coat, it's a messy coat round glass. None of this looks pretty. Don't worry, it's all going to come together. So these panels that I've put on with the same colour that I've base coated the externals, I'm just going to, I want to try, I'm not quite sure what colour this is going to be yet, so I don't know if I want to keep it natural, so I'm just going to take this right down to here right now and keep that tidy. And then what I'm going to do is, in a sort of messy way, well, there's no paper there, so I can just go around that. I want to do my base coat for here. Now, I'm going to come in and do a second coat because you want to try and make the paper disappear. It's better to do this when the paper's thoroughly dry and this stuff up here is dry. So let's just kind of do this. And remember this little wedge up here. This will have to be done too. This is just going to take a little bit of time for you. I mean, just kind of, and you know, like, it's up to you how much you take in and how much you don't. You can just do the centre as it is, because this is just the sort of, we're going to have to come back and do this again. So something like this, I think, to start with. I think I'm going to be quite happy with that. I don't mind doing that and having some parts coming down here. And I'm going to try and use this gap to my advantage, because we're really going to try and get a sort of real distressed look in this piece. So things like that we're going to use to our advantage. But that's all I'm doing. This is just the base coat. We're just kind of, you can take it in a bit more. You can have it coming down here. See where this bit part here is? We can fix that later. You know, where the rip is down here. We can have it going right across both sides. So yeah, that's it. You're not missing anything here. I'm just kind of like, you'll find, see this wet edge? If you see where it's got wet, you'll find that all smooths itself back down. It will smooth itself back down when it dries. It's just because it's been added moisture to it at the moment. Just leave it be. Don't start messing around with it. Yes, I'm just going to do this until the whole, that'll be the whole exterior base coated, the whole interior base coated, and the whole back, apart from the shelves. That's the only thing I'm leaving alone right now. Okay. Okay, so our sort of, what are we calling it? Our sort of ochre, sort of kind of more veering towards green. What are you laughing at, Martin?
Really trying to describe that colour.
He's doing it already. Right, Martin, I'm going to put a mic in you in a minute. Right, okay, so this colour here, I'm going to start trying to make the externals and obviously the internal paint start to try. Now, there's going to be so much going on in between here, so don't worry about that right now, but we need to look at our paper. Now, I had a tiny little bit of Annie Sloane's Capri Pink, and I mixed a little bit of Oxford Navy, and it made this purple. Yeah, because if you look behind here, there's a purple. Up here, there's a purple. So there's plenty of purple. So, but how are we painting this over the top of this? My brush hasn't got a tons of paint on it. In fact, I don't even have a ton of paint in here. But there's going to be another colour as well over the top of this one or around this one. So let's just kind of sort of decide what we are going to do with this here. This point in time, how would I describe it? Sometimes you're painting it in solid. Other times you're just not. Is that technical, Martin?
Yep, that's the official
Is that
term.
So it's just to kind of give it, you're looking for an effect that is distressed, but you don't want to end up looking like bad. How would I describe it? Painted in, yeah, deliberately made to look like it's been tried too hard to be worked over. So you're kind of like, it's a fine line you're mixing, you're kind of skirting here, because you do want solid areas, but you don't want too many of them. So, because I'm actually going to sand some of this back to the natural wood at some point as well. So I'm just going to, I think the only, what do we need to think of a name for, Martin?
This, this deliberate not painting.
Martin's trying to think of a name for what this is called. I don't think it's.
It can be an official name.
An official name, Martin. He's been very silly today. Right, okay. So I'm going to kind of do something like this to begin with. I am going to be taking back some of this to the natural wood, but I am going to be adding a sort of this sort of green, maybe with a palette knife. The palette knife's going to come into play. I know what you're thinking. I'm taking quite a long time on the frame and in the internals and the externals, but these are the things that are going to make it work before we get to all this pattern. So I'm just going to go on and I'm going to do this. I'm not using too much paint. It's just tiny amounts, just to make all this work. So I'm going to get on and I'm going to do that. We'll let that dry. We'll come on with maybe another colour. I want to get the outside done, or nearly as much done as I can, before I move on to the inside. Okay, so I've added a little bit more Capri Pink just to the bottom of this can. And while this is still damp, I'm just kind of doing this in pieces and parts over the top of my purple. What did we say we're calling this look, Martin? Go on, Martin. Martin's got a mic on. Tell them.
I can't remember.
Isn't it funny how Martin's got a mic and he's suddenly very quiet and he can't remember things? That's funny, isn't it? So all I'm doing now...
Deliberately patchy.
Martin says, well, I don't need to repeat what you're saying now. They can hear you. Deliberately patchy. Yeah. So I'm just kind of like... using this sort of deliberately patchy style, right? I'm just kind of, I don't want to mottle it too much. You're not wanting to end up it looking like some kind of leopard. And I really don't, when I see some people's distresses and I see some of the ways that they kind of add it on, I think, So I'm just kind of I'm kind of brightening up that purple a little bit. Just kind of giving it a little bit more of a something. That's all I'm doing. Right, I'm brightening it all up. I've done the inside. I'll get to that in a minute, and I'll be brightening all that up in sort of sections. It's looking like a real dog's dinner at the moment, but it is going to get better. Yeah, there's no way to describe it.
That's one way to say it.
That is one way to say it, Martin. You're right. So I'm just going to get on and do this next.
I trust you.
I know you trust me. I know you do. You do trust me. Sometimes I think you question my whole vibe. So I'm just doing it on the sides and everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry off a little bit. In fact, I'm going to let this thoroughly dry now before I come in with my next colour. And then what I am going to show you is down the bottom where I put the purple on. I brought the distress right down to the bottom. Now there's some areas where your drawing is, you can bring it down, but that would look too contrived if it was 3 in a row. So I'll do that with a different colour, that one. But for the likes of here, you can just...
Oh. Carry on.
Oh, you're just holding it. Is there something wrong with it? Sorry, technical problems. I now appreciate Matt's.
I obviously forgot to charge the gimbal. I'm sorry.
I now appreciate Matt's problems after filming my own video, which was a nightmare. Really, it was. It was just, oh, it was a nightmare. Can you see where I'm kind of putting that in the middle of there, and I'm kind of brightening that up? That's all I'm doing. Just kind of going. You're not going over all of it. It's just a kind of, and there's not too big a differentiation to make such a huge difference, but it just gives it a little bit more oomph from underneath, because there is, believe it or not, going to be another colour just a little bit over the top of this one. Okay, while the exterior is drying, I am going to be running my purple paint down here, but again, we're not trying to cover it all either, so you know, when I did the mustard coloured yesterday, I ran some of it into the paper, so that made that kind of made it more distressed, if you can see there. And there's a hole in this. I mean, when the Indian look stuff, I kind of tend to leave all the sort of unusual, quirky things just as they are, because that's how their furniture, like the kind of Indian inspired stuff, they do a lot of upcycling, they do lots of recycling different parts to make things. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm just kind of generally, there's going to be more coming over the top of this. This piece of furniture today is quite a layered sort of finish, so there's more going over the top of this. So I'm going to show you this, but now I'm going to duck down, and I'm going to show you just me simply sanding the sides of my drawers, so that I can. So you're just kind of making sort of panels with your paint, so that they all kind of work nicely together, like that, making wee panels. So you've made all your little sort of panels now. That's how it's kind of looking. I am going to be cleaning this shelf off, so I'm trying to be, and obviously the windows, but yeah, that's what you're kind of looking for in this sort of, at this sort of stage. Kind of, you can bring a little bit in, you can put some of that in that distress there as well, and some in here, some in here. I don't like that sort of where the wood grain is. Too much of that's not a good thing. There, yeah. That's what you're going to be aiming for the back. Okay? Okay, so what do you do with this? You just get a sanding block and go down. Just like that. And that's how you do the drawers. It's that simple. I've got paper on this side there. Sorry for the noise. You just sand down away. Don't ever sand up. And you should have, I'll just get that bit there. Move that bit to my piece of furniture. You should have, I'll show you, like, can you see how smooth it is all the way along? Don't worry about this. We're going to be filling this in and here. But that's how smooth your drawers are. This one here is the big one with the 3 different sections, and it's just had the same treatment as the wood. It's had the yellowy, here we go again, Martin, the yellowy, mustardy, whatever colour this is under here.
Yeah, whatever that colour is.
Yeah, with the purple over the top. And all I've done is I've kind of made it into panels, because that was my 3 joins. During the night, I got a bit giddy, and I was sitting in bed thinking, what can I do about handles? And I realised
for these ones.
I realised I had these. I think they've even got the cute little orange screws, because there's orange obviously in the, and plus we want it as bright as we can make it. So this is going to be the drawers. Okay, so from the Bohemia stamp from IOD, this is one I used to, it's my favourite stamp really, this and the pennies, but I've got this section here, and this is us just making, sorry for my squeaky roller, this is us just filling in where we want to go. So let's start here. Now, when you're doing something like this, you're wanting the main body of your pushing to be in the blank areas. You can see where the paper is underneath. You're just going to slightly touch that. I think it's 6 and 2/3 there. Where we go. Yeah. So touch it all over. Whack it off. Load up your stamp again. And I'm using Annie Sloan's Florence as my colour. Now, this time I'm going to go kind of, just for a minute, I'm going to go over this side and push here because I've got a blank bit in there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do here with this blank bit. And then I'm just going to proceed with this area here. And it's just about, it's not about shifting it around like that, put it that way. It's just about filling in the kind of gaps. Because of this stamp being so far down, you can't really get it down, so we're going to have to do a border at the end of that. But the trick of this is not to have it too solid, not to have your design too. I still need to fix this. Martin has cleaned my windows, haven't you, Martin?
I have.
I did two.
And then I did them again.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
You did not.
Okay, I didn't.
Well, I tried to do two. I gave up. I don't like doing them. I tried to do two, Martin. Right. Okay. Now. So this is just like, you don't need to see anymore. You can see what I'm doing here. It's don't worry, I'm mindful of that. My windows are clean now. Now the next thing I'm going to tell you about before we move off is, Martin, if you can just home in on this sanded area here. What I have done is I've sanded all the way down. I haven't done up here, but sanding is kind of like whatever your sort of choice is, how much you do, how much you don't do. I want some of the, quite a bit of this sort of wood revealed, so maybe that's probably enough for there. I want to give it, make sure it's had a good sand. Yeah, I don't want to do too much. I'm just showing you on camera because I'm not actually currently wearing a mask and I don't like doing that without it. So, but you get the idea. Yeah? We're just bringing some of the bare wood back. Martin, are you able to go down to the bottom right now?
I can.
Ignore my floor. I popped the drawers in just to see what they look like. I've sanded it here, all sandy parts. This part here is a little bit of a trial. I don't know if the colour will be going over the top of that. I'm just kind of sitting it on there just now until I work it out. And I brought my same stamp down along these edges. I still have this join here to fix, but I quite like the look of that kind of area, so I might accentuate that if I can. Bit more sand in here, and you haven't missed anything else. I've done the other two sections. I still need to clean off these wooden shells, and I'm not entirely convinced whether I might come back and maybe white distress these just to give it might need a little bit of lift. It might end up too clunky and dark if I don't lighten it at some areas, but we're at now. Next thing, just checking this is dry to see whether I could show you now. I have here a stencil. Now Martin and I looked at three, didn't we, Martin? We were deciding which ones we wanted. So it was a new Bohemia stamp I opened because my other one is done to death. And so if you're not sure what it looks like, I've already cut it all up, but these are all the pieces and parts, and it's just such a brilliant stamp. I can't, if I sound excited, it's just because it is a really good stamp. I've got a stencil brush. Yeah, look at that. I never use them, but I've got them. I want a little bit of Capri Pink here because I couldn't quite tell if this was a red or a pink. Now, considering that I made it, you think I would know, but I think it stands out more pink because I think this stands out more red, but this is definitely a sort of pink. Now, I haven't lost my mind. This is from an Indian set. I think it might be that particular one. Don't know. Martin,
No.
Martin,
It's not,
you can't.
not every stencil is from that set.
Martin, you're shaking your head at me going, nope. Oh, it's all entertaining now. Martin can talk. Right, so I'm not going
I'll
to
see if I can find a link for it.
see. I think it might be from there, man, but
Okay.
I'm not. I don't know. You're right. Not everything can be from that set. What am I doing with this? I don't want to obscure too much of the decoupage paper, but yet again, I mean, I could end up making a complete and utter mess of this here because I'm really not sure. I think I'm going to kind of stagger it, so I'll do kind of here, and I'll do some this way as well. No, that looks silly, Martin. Why are you telling me to do it that way?
I'm sorry.
Why are you being so silly?
Silly me.
Silly you. Oh, Martin and we've had the day. We went out. We it all started this morning because my daughter, our daughter, has COVID, and so is the baby, so is Poppy, my granddaughter, and so is my son-in-law Johnny. So they've all got COVID. So she phoned me at 6 o'clock this morning. She knew I would be up, and it was, to tell me all of.
That's not straight.
Is that not straight? See, you can hear him telling me, is that straight, man? I don't really think it matters if it's completely straight, but okay. Anyway, let me tell my story. So she was on the phone at the crack of dawn telling me all her woes about COVID and how sick she was, and she's really worried about the baby. And as you know, he spent a lot of time in an incubator, so she's worried about him. Anyway, I'm just offloading my paint so that I don't have too much in my stencil brush. I just want to make sure it's not too much. I'm taping it on. Yes, I'm taping it on because there's an awful lot of big gaps in this. Word to the wise, if it's got big gaps, be careful. So anyway, she phoned at the crack of dawn to tell me that. And then Ginny messaged me not long after that to say, are you up? So I spoke to her, and she'd been up since the crack of dawn as well. See, we're all women of a certain age. That's all I'm going to tell you. There's a reason why women of a certain age are all up at this time then on. Anyway, Martin's smiling. I can tell you're smiling, Martin. I can just tell you've got a smile on your face. I don't even need to look round. So she told me really early this morning that she'd had a cooked breakfast. I thought, that sounds brilliant. But Martin and I are really busy. And plus we're vegetarians, and I don't have the wherewithal to cook a breakfast. It's not like I can't cook one. I just thought I can't be bothered to cook one. So I needed to go to the local town to get shopping anyway. So Martin said, when I told Martin, I said, oh, Ginny had a cooked breakfast this morning. He was like, oh, shall we go and get a cooked breakfast? So it was much better because I didn't have to cook it. So there we were this morning, and we having a cooked breakfast, which we would never normally do. All because Ginny told me that she'd had a cooked breakfast. That's a great big long story to tell you that Ginny from Mumshed had a cooked breakfast this morning, and so did Martin and I.
If it's not cake, it's something else.
If it's not cake.
Food is a big thing on this channel, isn't
it? I know. I should do cookery. Oh, can you imagine my cookery channel? Oh dear. You know that way? Oh no, cookery, not for me. Anyway, let's have a wee look at this. Let's have a wee gander at it. Ooh, I like it. Now, do you like that as well, Martin? Oh, see, you can hear Martin tell me that he likes it now. Marty, since we're on camera and should we do some up this way? I think we should, because we've got kind of bald patch here. What do you think?
Go for it.
Yeah. See, you need to leave me in the comment whether we should mic Martin up every week.
Don't tell him that.
Whether we should mic Martin up every week. The only problem with miking us up every week is sometimes off camera, like the bits you don't hear is Martin going, you've got that squint. Well, actually, you just heard him do that, right? Okay, we're not quite sure what happened there. Martin thinks he might have nudged a button.
Is that right?
That's what he just said. Anyway, technology. What I'm doing is I'm just going to do the whole back of this, and I'm just going to kind of stagger it and move it back and forward till I'm happy with the whole design. Martin and I were just talking just a minute ago about the brown shelves. We do think the brown shelves are kind of throwing it off slightly, so I think I probably will do those cream, but this is it's slowly approaching the time where I have to go over to the house and
Feed the children.
and feed myself again. No,
More food.
feed my children. We did go for breakfast at 10:30. It's now 7 o'clock. Anyway, I'm using the swirly twirly method as if I haven't told you this already. I can't remember whether it cut off before or after, but you can see me swirling and twirling and swirling and twirling. And that is the official terminology to get your stenciling perfect. So
That's
it's
the way to do it.
just like that. So when I say stagger, I'll probably maybe fold it and do one down here, maybe one up here, upside down that way, and just kind of fill in the gaps. And that's what I am going to do. I'll do that tonight. You don't need to see any more of this. Tomorrow morning we will get to these shelves, making these white, and we're moving on a pace that is going to have to be something at some point in time where I bring out some orange. So I think I might do a border around here with stamps with the orange, just to make it into like panels, but one big panel, each panel kind of thing, just so I can tie my handles in. I need to tie those handles in. They're very important to me, Martin. Did you see what I'm doing now? Changing my whole furniture for my handles. Right,
Remember the
okay.
first time?
Enough. I know it won't be the first time. Enough nonsense. We're going to go and do this. Okay, sometimes you don't want to always put gold on. So here I have an ochre paint. It's actually an ochre acrylic, but it's okay to put acrylic over furniture paint. That's not a problem. And I thought it would go quite nicely with this colour in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be quite bold and do something like this. I've got a cloth here and I'm just going to wipe some of that back, giving it, I want a little bit more on the edge. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm going to take, I'm going to take it down. What are you laughing at, Martin?
I'm not sure. I should just forge on.
Well, I decided I liked it and I thought it was probably better that I did. So I'm going to just kind of rub this. I'm going to let it settle heavier in some of the areas. So I'm kind of wiping so it settles, but on this sort of main flat part, just wiping back. I think it looks a little bit too purple. I've done the bottom part down here, you can see, and it looks just swanky, so I'm quite happy with that. Yes? Are we okay with that? Yeah? I'll go on and do that. I've done all the pink stenciling. Next thing, we're going to do some stenciling around here, and then after that, I really am going over for my tea. Okay, I said I was going to come back up here and put a stencil around here, and I probably am. But what I'm doing is I'm just kind of pulling this all together now with this sort of yellow ochre. I'm being quite, not really kind of taking my time or anything. Just being kind of arty about it. I did want to have fun this week. It's been kind of stressful having to do the inlays, and I was a bit nervous of that. So today I'm just having fun. Now, what do we think about that, man?
Yep.
Yeah. Right, so I'm just going to get on and do this because I need to do this before I can do the white shelving. So I just want to make sure this part here is done first, okay? Okay, quick discussion of what I've just done off camera. I'm about to show you all the things I've done anyway, but I'll just talk about them. Well, apart from the shelves. The shelves are painted white, and a good way to, hang on 1 minute. A good way to get that sort of, I think some of the look of Indian furniture is it has to look worn. It just has to have that worn look, that sun-beaten look, that sort of distressed look with multiple layers of pattern. That is the way that you are going to be on fleek if you do these things. What did I do with the white shelves? Literally, I just got some Annie Sloan's old ochre. I didn't use white because I didn't want it to be too white. Just got a paint scraper, waited till it was kind of wet and went along it. It is that simple. I didn't labour the point. I like the texture of it kind of being thicker in some areas and thinner than others. So that's all I did with the shelves. But what I did do at that point is, because these shelves are now white, is I got little parts of my ochre and I just put a suggestion in the furniture. That's all I did. What did I do next? Because I'll just show you Martin, are you going to be able to see here?
Yep.
I have a fuchsia stays on ink. Yes, the lovely Martin has been purchasing me new ink. Whoop-de-doo. And I just found it, and so I got a bit giddy. Whoa. So it's a hot pink. When it comes out on this, it's a sort of... Now, I really shouldn't be doing this anywhere near... You definitely do not want to do what I am doing now.
I won't show them.
I haven't got a clear space. You never stamp on your furniture. It's just not a good idea. So I decided to use the same stamp set, which I showed you, the Bohemia from IOD. This is one of the stamps. And literally what I have done... Oh, I've got awful shaky hands today, Martin. You must be making me nervous.
That's it, baby, yeah.
So I just put it down each stanchion, which I'm going to show you, and it'll make more sense when we get to the bottom. And I just put this all the way down here. So kind of here and all the way down. Yeah, I've also kind of like done it down here. And when we get to the bottom, I'll show you what I did with the bottom. So that's all I did. The nice thing about doing these looks on top of the different layers of paint is where it has more yellow, it appears to be more pink. Where more of the purple shines through, it's a darker shade. And that sort of weather beaten look is a look that I just really like. I didn't mind too much how I applied it. I just slapped it down it. Enjoy when it doesn't transpose. Enjoy these. Take these things like this. Take these as the wind. I love when that happens. It gives it a look like it's been rubbed off. That paintwork has been rubbed off. So these things are good. Never go, oh, that's not perfect. It doesn't matter. That's not the look. This look is the most forgiving look you can do, but it's quite complicated. You just need to build it up in layers. Now, what did I do after that? Yeah, it goes. I'll get to the bottom and show you where I did. I just literally the same stamp with the fuchsia pink, and I just went stamping mad. That's what I did. Now, I need to have those orange handles. It's needing me now. What do you do if you want to try and you have something, you want to make it work? Ideally, I would just find handles that absolutely 100% match this piece. But because I have those orange handles and there is orange in this design, I thought, right, well, I'm just going to make this work because I want those handles. And you can do this too. Just pick the colour of the handles, look at your furniture, and if it's a massive colour, this Indian style is so forgiving. I mean, it's really just about having fun. You could go on forever in a day. Not too much though. You do get to the point where, and I mean, even I've done this, you do so much that it's so muddy that you can't see all the layers. And I've had to learn to kind of like draw back at some points and go, right, well, that's enough. So the next thing I'm doing to incorporate my orange handles, because they have to be happening, is I have another stamp from the same set. Now, if you do not have this fuchsia ink, don't worry. Just use Capri Pink paint or whatever paint your paint brand is. Just use a pink paint. You don't have to have all the fancy inks. You really don't. And for this one in particular, you just need a stamp set. And if you have this one, that's great. And a stencil and Boogie Nights decoupage paper, and you are off to the races. So I'm just putting this around here like this, down the bottom and down the sides, which you can see down in the next shelf down.
Yeah. Just
framing it out. That's what I've done. I've made a frame. If these had been wider panels, for example, this wide, and there had been two of them, I would have ran it down the centres as well to make actual panels. But there is enough going on now, and all that's done is there. So I've done the white. I've discussed the fuchsia. I'm going to finish this panel here. Then we're going to... I'm going to show you this down the bottom. But sometimes a really good way of getting a really good effect, and if you're new to my channel, you won't have seen this. If you're not new to my channel, you'll have seen me probably do this before. Is I like to take the Stays On ink pad and just do something like this. And just rub my ink pad along my furniture like that. And all that does is it adds the fuchsia up there, because you can't get a stamp up in those. Well, you could, but you're only going to get a little bit of a stamp. Maybe a little bit darker here. You can do edges. I mean, you can really go to town with this. So yeah, that's another way of putting another layer on that matches everything else and pulls it together. I'll get onto the orange. We're going to talk about down the bottom. I'm going to run you through everything I did down the bottom, which is pretty much which I've just explained. You saw me stamp. You see me stamp. You see me do the paint. I do have an orange ink, but it would get lost in this. It needed, it's hard, like when you stamp with ink, it is concise. It's much more controlled, especially with some of like, let me think of an example. An IOD stamp, like it's a retired one, but Lady Charlotte stamp. There's an awful lot of shadowing and those kind of things. Those things, they I often think require ink. Things like the Bohemian stamp, paint. It doesn't matter. If you're looking for more of a statement, a thicker, a heavier line, use paint. If you're looking for a thinner, more concise, tidy, use ink. That's just what I do. And I think that's pretty much, well, I'm telling you, it's sound advice. Probably not.
It comes from experience stuff.
It comes from an experience, Martin.
It does. You've tried it all.
I think because I've tried so many different types of things, I think this is what I'm trying to say. If I'd put the pumpkin, which is the orange colour of ink down here, you wouldn't have seen it. You need this thicker orange paint. And by the way, this is Annie Sloane's Barcelona orange, but it was a lighter orange and I needed a darker orange. And all I did was add a little bit of Emperor's Silk, which is a red, to it to make it a little bit more vibrant. Okay, so using another one of the stamps, and I'll show you the colour of ink in a moment. I don't have a sort of Florence kind of colour, but I do have a teal. So I'm just going to run this along here. Quite messily, apparently. I don't know, my hands are really shaky today. I think it's because I've not had any cake. I'm depleted of sugar. Yeah, I'm going to put this along here so you don't need to see me doing. And as you can see, that's the third time I've used it going along. I like that look. It gives it, I don't always reload my stamp every single time. I think it makes it look too crisp. Right, okay. This is going to go along here. Let's talk about this part down the bottom here. My drawers are finished. Let me just kind of do this so you've got a rough idea of how it looks. Where is it? I was saving this part down here to show you what I showed you at the top, but we'll just do it now. That's there. Now, I put the same stamp that I showed you on the sides all along. Here, here, here. Every sort of ridge, I put it. So every sort of standout part. I haven't put it on the sides. That would be too much. The orange that you just saw me do, I ran a band along here and a band along here. And that is probably, I think, enough for the front. This is the teal blue that I'm using for this stamp along here. It's just going to make it look a little bit more distressed, I think. Last but not least, before I keep finding little bits of white paint that came off of this when I scraped it. Last but not least, have I explained everything? I think I have. I cut out one of these peacock feathers, which is from the Boogie Nights paper, and I'm going to glue this up in here. I'm just going to push my drawer in so you can see. And this is the kind of one of the other added bonuses of Made by Marley Decoupage paper. Yes, you can cut it out and you just apply it the same way. But this time round, instead of, now I would normally do this on a surface and you wouldn't see me doing it with my hands, but it's just to make sure I get it right to the edges because I've fussy cut out the kind of feathery shapes. You can just apply decoupage paper. You can cut out any other Made by Marley decoupage papers, fussy cut them out and just stick them on top as well. And I think there is videos of that as well.
Yeah, you do that quite a bit.
I do that quite a bit, Martin says. I'm kind of just making sure I get this on. It's maybe just, whoops. Oh, just get my nail. Look at the state of my hands.
I've seen them worse.
Can fold that in there. I guess you have.
So have they.
Well, yeah, I guess they have too, Martin. Right, okay, so I'm happy with this. And when I seal it, I will seal over the top of it. What I'm not going to do is put Mod Podge over the top of this, because there'll be a discoloration of where the Mod Podge, it'll be shinier than my top coat sealer, and I don't want to draw attention to that's how it looks. So this, any parts, like, can you see this little part in here? Let me see if I can try and get this drawer. My drawers are kind of like, it's been one of those days where I keep putting the drawers in and then have to try and kind of pick them back out. Can you see where I've completely missed the decoupage paper? Just that corner. I'm leaving that. That is something I'm leaving. It needs a really good clean. I understand that, but these looks all, like the holes in the back, it just, everything adds to the look. And I think by bringing this orange in now, I think we can safely say that my handles are going to work. Woo! I got this to stamp here, which you just saw me do. And I'm going to go and seal it. Now, what am I going to seal it with? I am going to be sealing it with my usual sealer. And Deb Ellsworth asked me a sealer question the other day. How did I apply it? I normally use, I haven't got any to hand, but you know, they're green on one side and foam on the other, like kitchen sponges.
Scrubby sponges.
Scrubby sponges. It's got the green. I hold on to the green part and I dip this foam part in a pot and I glide it over the furniture. Let it dry, glide it again, and that's it. I sometimes brush it on, but that's the majority of the time. Going to seal it up. Martin will put the handles on, and I think that's us for today. We'll get to staging. That was a hot minute. Okay, what did we do? The layered looks. You sometimes think, I'm putting that under that, and is that going to be seen? Believe you me, when you do the layered looks, there's no skipping a layered look. One coat of paint won't give you a layered look. So I started with, I won't tell you what colour Martin said the first yellowy ochre was this morning. I started with that. Then what I did was I put the purple over the top of that. I highlighted some of the accents with a more richer sort of more of the capri pink over that. And over the top of that, I washed an ochre coloured acrylic paint. Over the top of the outside, I then used, all stamps used in today's project were the Bohemia stamp from Iron Orchid Designs. I stamped down here. I feel like an air hostess, and along here. I did it up, round. I haven't done the sides to keep it so that it's able to sit in a room and doesn't look too busy. So I've done that. The fun part is, and we discussed this, if you haven't used Made by Marley Decoupage paper, it really is hugely versatile. None of this paint your furniture white. Because it's a little bit more robust, you're not having to fiddle and get all stressed with the kind of tissue paper side of decoupage paper. It goes on like butter. And I showed you how to simply put it onto drawers. So if you're still at that stage and you just want to do something that's quite simple and you just want to apply it to your drawers, then I showed you how to do the simple part. I then showed you how to rip it up and blend it across, and I did that on the back panels. I then showed you how to bridge the transition with stencils and stamps, and I also showed you that you can fussy cut it up and do shapes with it over the top of paint as well. So it's very versatile, comes in many different colours. I've got many different designs, some more paler, more muted, but the majority bright and colourful. That's really been it for today. It was a nice piece of furniture. It was a shame that it had a broken door on it, because it would have been really nice with the doors as well. But I think I've made the best of it. I've saved it. You know, the person didn't want it. What are they going to do with it? It had a broken door, and I saw it and I thought, that's a nice piece of furniture. It's quite a heavy weight to it. It's got the glass, a little bit of interest. You know, these kind of things make it a little bit more sellable. So yeah, show of the day. It's got to be the handles. Aren't they swanky? They are swanky handles. I've actually got ones like this that are blue that are cutlery. And I'm just waiting for the right piece to come along for the cutlery handles. I could probably wait a while. I kind of sandwiched my handles in by putting more orange onto the piece. It did have orange in the decoupage paper, but I wanted to make them work. So that's been it for today. It's been a bit, this has been really fun after the whole IOD and
the stress of your Annie Sloans
and having it film upset. Last week was pretty stressful. This week, it's a breeze. Just doing what I do. So if you've liked this video, please consider sharing it. The more you share our videos, the more it helps our channel. Give it a like, leave me a comment. Liking and comment also help the algorithms on YouTube to push it out to other people that maybe haven't seen any of our videos before. So those kind of things helped as well. And the most important thing, if you're just tuning in and this is your first time watching Made by Marley, stay with us, give us a shot, watch a few videos, and then possibly consider subscribing. We'd really appreciate that. So Martin and I, lovely Martin who's mic'd up.
I am. Yes,
Martin, you can be saying
I think I'll just keep doing this. Yeah.
Me and Martin will be back next Sunday. So we'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.